3 ways to defeat the Sean Mannion assumed system. And I think a better way of titling this is 3 ways to really and honestly beat the Shanahan-McVay-esque outside zone, quick processing West Coast system. I'm going to get into really and honestly where we might have hiccups, where we might have struggles, and kind of like what defenses have done in the past to kind of wreak havoc on this particular system. And this is an assumption, guys. We don't know what any of this is going to be until they line it up on the film and there's actual tape to study offensively. All right, y'all. Let's jump into the conversation. I think the first thing that has to be stated is the fact that a lot of this is done for us to be dynamic in the run game, right? And to build some consistency. And we know that there's going to be more of a reliance on outside zone than we've had in previous, seasons. We've run it here and there. I mean, I can point to, film and show you that we actually did run this system even in the early portions of last season. With that said, I think you're going to see like an escalation in our uses of being under center and then running that outside zone. So what is the quickest way to destroy lateral movement from an offensive line and trying to stretch you in the run game? Trying to make your linebackers play sideline to sideline? Well, it's interior pressure, guys. It's when those interior defensive linemen absolutely wreck your game plan. And I want to talk for a second because we're playing 5 of the top 10 run defenses from last season. And that's the only data we have to go on, guys. I mean, to be quite honest, that doesn't necessarily mean jack crap for the upcoming season, but it gives us the only measurement we can really use to bring some sort of context here, right? I just want to talk for a second about who those groups are and how damn good they are and kind of what we're going to have to face here. So Seattle, the number 1 run defense from the 2025 season, is on the back end of our schedule. And we will see them, and that's going to be a fight. The number 3 run defense, the Los Angeles Rams, are on our schedule, and that's going to be a little bit more in the early season. So now we got one of the top 5 groups in the early portion of the season and one of the top 5 groups probably in the latter portion of the season. So there's going to be a fight, man. We're going to have to be ready to duke it out this year in terms of the run game stuff. And then we're playing the AFC South. And when you look at the AFC South, 3 of those teams are top 10 in terms of run defense. So number 7 overall is the Houston Texans defense and their run defense. Number 9 is the Tennessee Titans, and we're going to have to get ready for a fight down there. Jeffrey Simmons just signed that huge contract. And number 10 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we're going to have to keep teams from destroying the interior offensive line. We have got to figure out a way for guys like Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, and Tyler Steen to really fully realize their potential. And I know that 2 of those 3 guys, it's not about realizing the potential as much as it is a healthy, recovery from previous seasons and the wear and tear on their bodies. Nonetheless, we got some teams coming in here that got some damn good players against the run. And I just want to talk for a second who I think are like the crazy, crazy good players that maybe people are forgetting about. I don't know about you, but I was excited when I saw that Dexter Lawrence left the Giants. That's a damn good football player. He's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. Don't breathe too easily, guys, because they signed DJ Reader, who is not a Dexter Lawrence, but he's damn good versus the run. So we got to play internally in the division DJ Reader, and that's a decent ball player. The Dallas Cowboys and Quinnen Williams. Hey, look, man, I think that defense is mostly going to have some struggles the first year implementing a new scheme, and I think they lack talent overall. But I will say that Quinnen Williams is the real deal in the interior defensive line, and our interior offensive line, it's got to get the deal done or else he's going to be a pain in the ass in 2 games. Later in the season, kind of right around November or so, just before we get to the Thanksgiving weekend, really, we got to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's Cameron Hayward. Cameron Hayward can still stop the run. I don't think he's what he was 5 years ago when he was a complete interior defensive lineman and one of the best in the game, but this dude is still a pain in the ass in the run game to win. The Rams. Poona Ford is such an interesting guy because, he's so undersized. He's not what you would think. But the dude, because he's short in stature, plays with tremendous pad height. And the damn dude is one of the best guys in the league in terms of the run game stuff. We're going to have to fight it out with the Rams in terms of the interior offensive line, their interior offensive line versus our interior defensive line, and our interior offensive line versus their interior defensive line. It's going to be a hell of a matchup, actually. That's one that I'm kind of looking forward to judging this scheme against. When we finally get Seattle, while the whole entire Seattle defense is a really good defensive team, the one player in particular who can wreak havoc for you in terms of shutting down your run game is Leonard Williams. This is one of the premier players along the interior defensive line. He's up there with some of the other guys that we've already discussed in this video. And I think this is one of those guys that, to me, is the same kind of impactful player as when I look at a guy such as Jeffrey Simmons of the Titans. I mean, Leonard Williams is that type of impact player. I think he's that good. You know, Chris Jones of the Chiefs, Jalen Carter with the Eagles. I think when those dudes are healthy and they're there to wreak havoc on your team, they're locked in. Those players in particular to me, Leonard Williams and your Jeffrey Simmons and your Chris Pauls and your Jalen Carters, like Quinnen Williams with Dallas as well, I think is in that conversation. Like, these dudes are serious ball players, man. These are the guys who can disrupt an entire offense's game plan. Some other names I would watch out for on our schedule that I think you got to be careful about, like this being a problem for us, is Grover Stewart of the Indianapolis Colts. This was a guy that had a really down season last year, but overall, this is a damn good interior defensive lineman, and he can be a problem for you. Another player with the Carolina Panthers, Bobby Brown III. This is a dude that if he could show you just a little bit more as a pass rusher, this is a damn good run defender. This is a guy that at the nose, he could be a problem for you. I do think there are quite a few teams and quite a few players on this schedule that are going to test our ability in terms of like outside zone. And I'm going to be really curious to track what they did against other teams in terms of using outside zone and what they may or may not revert to versus these teams. Do we see them run more gap and stuff like that versus these teams more power? It's going to be interesting, man. I mean, I don't have the answer for you right now, but those are the things that caught my attention, and I know that gives this particular system a shit ton of problems. Continuing, the second thing that gives, this Mannion, McVay kind of, Shanahan type scheme fits. I think the thing you got to watch out for is protection schemes when you're throwing the ball to where you're utilizing your tight ends in terms of the pass protection. Do you need to be reminded of what Hassan Reddick did to Shanahan in the NFC Championship game back in 2022? You have to be very careful about, number one, your running backs, being able to scan and filter and pick up the junk in terms of pass pro. It's really important in this system. And then number two, hey, man, we've already struggled with our guys in run, in the run game from the tight end position. It's pretty damn important in this system, too, to be valid pass protectors inside of this system. Like, it's pretty important in this system to honestly to be able to set yourself up for success in the pass pro with these tight ends. And I do think that, man, the moves that they made at tight end and like the camp battles we're going to have, I think a lot of people are sleeping on that. And I think that's one of the major things. The number one thing to me is if the interior O-line can improve and go back to what it was just in 2024. The number two thing to me is man, tight ends and running backs and picking up protection stuff. Those guys have got to be better at that. And I think that's one of the areas of this team that keeps getting slept on. People are not paying attention to how damn important that is to the season. It's super important, man, and people are sleeping on it because it's not the glitz and glamour, right? It's the dirty work. Well, that shit's way more important than all this other stuff that people are talking about. To me, number two thing about this system is making sure that these tight ends and these running backs can pass protect. They're going to have to be able to do this for us to be effective with the play-action passing game. Lot to learn here, guys. There's a lot to learn and to be seen on the season when it comes to this situation in particular. Okay, the number three thing that I'm watching out for in terms of this system and whether or not it'll be successful is it's going to be the disguised coverage stuff. So I'm talking about palms. Palms is when you're trapping on the outside, trapping outside the numbers, right? Using your corners normally, right? When you give people the idea that they can high-low you, but you're playing a palms coverage and you're waiting on it. All right? And then you're looking at things such as, Fangio. Fangio is really good at doing this. Fangio uses a concept called tricks. And if you got a 3-by-1 set, what he does is on the backside safety, he keeps eyes about any player crossing the middle of the field, and that guy's going to attack the football if he sees that happening. That's a tricks concept, okay? And then you have traps. You have your basic traps across the middle of the field. A team's ability to disguise coverage and make the quarterback think that they're getting a certain look, but then post-snap they get something different, that's where you can turn the ball over in this system. And we've seen quarterbacks in this system turn the ball over in very big moments, man. I mean, as much as winning as they did with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo was hilarious in big moments when it came to you knew this dude was going to melt down. You knew he was going to turn the ball over. It was more so like you were taking bets on how the hell it was going to happen. What was he going to do that was going to cause the problem here? We've seen these quarterbacks get trapped into this stuff. And this system, because it's so coordinator-driven and because it does strip away autonomy from the quarterback, and each quarterback's different with the amount of autonomy that gets stripped away, right? I mean, I would take a wild guess that even Sean McVay, as confident and as competent as Sean McVay is, you can only strip away so much autonomy from a player of the caliber of Matthew Stafford. There's definitely a collaboration between the two of them, right? So it's different, right? I mean, when you look at a guy like in San Francisco, when you're dealing with when like Mac Jones gets in the game, when they're playing Mac Jones, right? And Brock Purdy. Those guys probably do not have anywhere near the autonomy that a Matthew Stafford has inside the same exact system, really. Jordan Love probably has a different set of autonomy compared to other guys. All right, we got to find what that balance will be for Jalen Hurts. But when you are coordinator-driven, if you're wrong on the look, you're setting your quarterback up to have a really bad situation occur, right? That's where the mistakes can happen. So how much autonomy and how good these guys are at picking up and trapping these things when they happen, right? Picking it up from the sight adjustments and knowing kind of what's happening. These are the three ways that I am personally watching out for, like, that defenses can give this scheme problems. How we adjust to these things and the interior offensive line, these running backs, these tight ends, and then, Jalen Hurts' ability to really be able to kind of diagnose these traps, right? When they're playing palms, they're playing trap, they're playing tricks, these type of coverage situations, right? Simulated pressures and falling back, making you think they're bringing, 5, 6, 7 guys, when in reality they're only sending 3 and dropping 8, or they're sending 4 and dropping 7. Like, it's what you do in those moments. That's the things that trip this system up. How you adjust to those things, and Jalen's ability to see that and predict it. Sean Mannion's ability to in the game of preparation, the week of preparation, to see that. I think it's going to ultimately determine our success rate, to be honest with you. All right, y'all. If you guys enjoyed this video, man, then I appreciate y'all tuning in and watching it to the end. If you want more content that's similar to this, guys, listen, I'll throw you up a video here. I'll throw you up another video here. Hey, I've taken a look at Cole Payton's film, or, gentleman we just drafted in day 3 of the draft this year, quarterback out of North Dakota State. I got some thoughts. This is a project, a big-time project. But I want to break down the things that I'm seeing on tape for you guys to not just say it's a project, but show you the project, actually show you from the eyes of someone who's played the position, someone who's coached the position before, kind of like what I'm seeing on tape from this guy, because I do think he's intriguing as hell. There's a lot of physical gifts with this young man. This is a major project. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. Peace. I'm out of here.